Businesses are expected to be more cautious in their hiring and wage plans, according to the Manpower Ministry's latest report. It adds that the labour market is expected to remain tight in the coming months, even as employment growth in the first quarter moderated. Beatrice Yap reports.
The new year opens on a quieter note for Singapore's labour market. Preliminary data shows employment grew by 5,000, slower than the previous quarter's 17,700. Partly due to seasonal factors like construction slowing during the Chinese New Year period. Unemployment also edged up to 2.1%.
Well, we can see that the labour market is still expanding, but the pace is now clearly moderated. What it's telling is also it signals a shift from more broad-based optimism to a more selective, outcome-driven hiring environment.
What that means is firms are taking longer to hire, but doing so at a potential cost.
The risk is also that when companies become overly cautious, they may delay, critical hires or underinvesting in talent and then face capability gaps when demand picks up again.
Still, hiring sentiment is expected to stay cautious due to global economic uncertainty and the pace of artificial intelligence adoption.
Going forward, there could be some changes along the way, which leads to some unevenness because of the unevenness in terms of the adoption. But otherwise, I think for the time being, we have yet to see the full impact coming in from AI automation.
Even so, analysts say Singapore's position as a trusted business hub continues to provide some resilience.
The need for diversification and the flight to quality, I think these are trends that will support the Singapore labour market, even as they address some of the external volatility and questions that have yet to be addressed from the events happening around the world.
Experts add that boosting AI literacy and upskilling will help workers stay employable.
And for more analysis, we have Associate Professor Guan Chong, who is Director of SUSS Academy at the Singapore University of Social Sciences. Prof. Guan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we know that employment is still growing, but that's at a much slower pace than last year. What is your read on the labour market right now? Do you think it's still resilient, or are we seeing a losing momentum?
The labour market now, it is quite resilient, as we can see from season to season growth. But at the same time, we're seeing a moderating momentum, which means although unemployment rate is low and stable, retrenchment is stable, but the growth can be moderated because businesses are taking longer to make decisions and making more calibrated investments.
Well, the Manpower Ministry says that moderation is actually due to the seasonal effects and also a high base rather than weakness. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I largely agree with the assessment. On top of that, there are also macro-environmental factors that are affecting businesses locally and, of course, globally as well. So, for instance, geopolitical factors as well as technology advancements are letting these businesses rethink how they can position their investments better in face of uncertainty.
Yeah. And speaking of this uncertainty, the hiring and wage expectations, that has also dropped. What does this tell us then about business confidence at this time?
So at this moment, businesses need to make a lot of trade-offs. So for instance, when there's external uncertainties, there will be volatility in supply chain. Sometimes there will be disruption in supply chain. There will be increase in costs. So they need to make many trade-offs in their daily investments, in their daily decisions. So sometimes investing in too much upfront or in committing on sort of manpower costs will actually be quite risky for a lot of the companies, so they will make calibrated decisions towards these uncertainties that they are facing.
Now, on the topic of manpower, let's look at the employers and also the job seekers. Are we likely to see fewer job openings? Do you think there's slower wage growth or maybe even tougher competition on the cards?
So for job seekers, of course, those are most attractive jobs you will see quite a competitive landscape. But if the job seekers are remaining open-minded and agile and open to cross-functional roles, there will be still opportunities out there because we do see growth in job market. For workers who are currently holding on to routine-based, process-based, or clerical roles, they should look into more opportunities within their company for cross-functional roles so that they can create more value-added, create more value to their individual organizations.
And staying prepared as well for the future. As we look ahead to the rest of 2026, what should workers and businesses be doing now to prepare if hiring continues to soften and if the labour market stays tight?
So for businesses, first of all, being too cautious can actually pose challenges on their capacity, so that sometimes they can't deliver as well as before, right? Because they are too tight on their manpower. So in the meantime, for the individuals, if they are only fixated on the very attractive roles, they might face challenges in looking for the suitable jobs. So businesses need to focus on productivity rather than rushing into investments in manpower. They need to look at whether strategic improvements in the work processes, in their business value adding, can create more opportunities for their business purpose, and at the same time open to redesigning their current job roles and giving more opportunities to their current employees within the organizations.
So openness, adaptability on both sides is really important. Now, Singapore is still seen as quite a resilient and trusted business hub. How important is that advantage still at this point when it comes to cushioning the labour market, especially when we take the wider context into consideration, which is the global tensions in the Middle East, for example?
Yeah, so Singapore is a very well-trusted business location, and we can see a lot of investments are looking into Singapore as the destination for creating from creating the first step overseas. So we do see lots of overseas investment coming in that creates a lot of opportunities for our local talents. So I think this positioning has not changed, even with external uncertainties, and with local talents getting really well prepared with AI capabilities, with agile mentalities, with cross-functional capabilities, we will be ready to seize all these opportunities.
Thank you so much, Prof. Guan, for sharing your analysis with us. I've been chatting with Associate Professor Guan Chong from Singapore University of Social Sciences.